Most people talk about leadership like it's theory. I've lived it in the mud, the chaos, and the moments nobody writes about. This show is the truth, raw, unfiltered, and built for leaders who actually give a damn. If you're ready to grow, ready to own your own story, and ready to lead from the front, you're in the right place. Speak up, show up, lead. Let's get into it. All right. We are here for another episode of Speak Up, Show Up, Lead. I'm JJ Hardy, the host. And for our Leadership Live editions, I have my co-host here, as always, every other week on Saturday, Chris Pienkowski. How you doing today, Chris?
Good morning, JJ. I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, man. Well, I'm alive and well and, ready for some great conversation as always. The kids are getting older, and so things are always interesting around the house, but Saturday mornings are a good time to talk about stuff that actually matters.
That's right. Same here.
Yep. Good. So today we have kind of a wrap-up conversation to our 4-part series, and we're going to talk about being intentional about the reinvention this year. I think it's appropriate. I guess this is our only episode that we've done here. Oh no, we had one in February already, but this is our last episode here in February, and we're getting ready to go into the second quarter next month. And so wrapping up with being intentional about all the stuff we've been talking about for the last 3 episodes, I think is super appropriate. What are your thoughts?
No, this is the wrap up. So we've talked about the mindset and what you want to change and things like that. So now it's bringing it all home with being intentional. And, man, now I'm going to blank on this quote because it's early in the morning on a Saturday, but I've got 2 quotes. One I won't blank on, the other one I totally will. So the first one is, when you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Uh-huh.
And the second one is that a goal without action is like nothing more than a dream, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what we're talking about here, when being intentional about your reinvention. You can have all the vision boards in the world, you can have all the fancy stuff written on the walls, but if you don't put that into action, if you're not super intentional about it, then it's never going to be anything more than things on the wall.
That's right. And I kind of came up with some talking points, and I put them down below in the description wherever you're seeing this. But I thought that a great set of things that we could go into, and of course, this is just me in my head, so let's not stick to only these things. But in my opinion, doing a wrap up, talking about our why, going into a little bit of letting go of comfort, how you can build daily discipline and accountability, and setting standards. Those are the things that we've kind of gone over in more detail in the past 3 episodes.
Yep.
But I thought those were things that we could do, because when you are trying to reinvent yourself or go off and start that new thing or whatever the case may be, all of these things really define being intentional. And when you start with why, Simon Sinek has a famous book about it. So obviously a lot of people think it's important, but it is, because if you think about the reason why you want to do the thing that you're doing, that will always remind you. And even though I believe in discipline over motivation, that initial motivation that gets you started doing something, when things get down and out and you got to pull from somewhere, you can always pull from your why.
Absolutely. Yep. The why is what drives it. And, the discipline gets you there. I've probably said this. I mean, we've been doing this show for going on 3 years now, JJ. Like,
oh my gosh. Time flies when you're having fun, I guess.
We must be having fun. But I think about discipline and motivation, just like with a car. Like if you're driving a race car, right, the torque is what gets you going. It's the horsepower that keeps you going.
Yep.
So your motivation and your discipline serve in those same capacities.
Yeah, they do. And, let's be honest. If you are the person or the group of people who have been listening to this the past few weeks, or maybe this is your first time tuning in and you are trying to get that new thing started, knowing why you did that is super important. And if you are just, if you're just doing it because you're not wanting to, say you're starting a business because you don't want to have somebody else managing your time, well, that's not really a good reason to do
Right.
that. If you are just switching a job because you need a change of scenery, that could be okay, but you got to be clear on what you want. And I mean, that's still a form of the why. And so be clear about what you're doing. Don't just, shoot from the hip and dive into things without having a clear understanding of why you're doing what you're doing. Do it with a purpose. And that's what this episode is about, because we're talking about being intentional here. And if you don't understand that, then maybe do the whole split chart thing, the benefits of doing what you're doing right now and the benefits of switching and doing something else. And if you can't figure out a why there, I mean, you really have some things to weigh.
Yeah, yeah, you probably have deeper conversations that you need to have with yourself and maybe with some other people to help you to figure that out.
Yes. Yes. So letting go of comfort.
Mhm.
So let's be honest. Let's just say you're starting a business, or maybe you're not. But I'm going to use the example of starting a business because that's probably one of the most uncomfortable things a person can do. I mean, you've done it, Chris. I'm doing it all the time, and then have new initiatives in my business going on all the time. And one thing I can say about comfort is that, yeah, when you're working a 9 to 5 and all you have to do is wake up in the morning, do your routine, and then hop in your car and drive to work or turn on your computer and report, there's not really much to think about other than just following your daily routine. And so when you're changing that up and you're starting something new, and in my case, I'm going to use a business as an example, and you're not used to you're doing stuff that you're not used to doing, or you have to find your own way every day to figure out what success looks like. I'm just gonna be honest with you. It's gonna be exciting, but you're not gonna like it. It's but comfort is where you grow. So I mean, you got to embrace that. And you, my favorite thing that we say on this show all the time, and I say it in person to other people all the time, is you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable, because comfort is where growth happens.
Absolutely. And nothing good comes from just maintaining the status quo. And but I guess it's all about your definition of good. And what I'll say is I'm going to preface this in the sense of we're talking about reinvention. So you've already gotten to the point of saying, I want to do something. I want to be, better here than I am now. So we're not talking to the person who is content with the status quo. And but you do have to realize that there's no easy button for it.
No.
It's going to be uncomfortable. You've got to find joy in that discomfort in order to keep moving. And when it really feels dark, and I've been there, you've been there, that's where the why anchors you. And you've got to say, like, all right, I'm doing this because of this reason. That's why I'm going to keep on going. Like, sometimes it gets really tough, and that you need to like reach back down and grab that motivation and say, why am I putting myself through this again? Oh, because I want to achieve this. Now
Yeah.
keep on going.
Yep. Well, and that it's not part of my list necessarily, but what I will say is that one thing that comes to mind while you said what you just said, and when I was talking about the whole idea of letting go of comfort, is regret. While you're doing these things, you might feel a little bit of resentment towards yourself, and you might start thinking about, oh my gosh, it was so easy to do what I was doing before. And of course it is. When you get into a battle rhythm of doing something and you mess that up, things tend to not be so easy anymore. And now you got to put on your big boy or big girl pants and you got to deal with the decisions you made. But, that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a bad thing. When you're trying something new, embrace that. There are going to be challenges. Challenges are good. Challenges help you learn about who you are, and once you overcome those challenges, you learn new capabilities for yourself.
Mhm.
And there's no better feeling of accomplishment when you are able to go out there and do things that you didn't think you could do before. Because I mean, I don't even know how to explain it, but it just feels really, really good.
It does, and, you can't let those setbacks stop you,
No.
right? And that has to be part of your intentionality as well, is having that mindset that I'm trying to do something that I've never done before. I'm charting new waters, so I don't know what I don't know.
Right.
And there will be things that get in my way. There will be roadblocks. And by the way, there will be failures. Like, don't sugarcoat it to yourself.
No.
But what do we always say that fail stands for?
First attempt in learning.
There you go.
Yep.
That's the mindset that you have to have when you're being intentional about reinventing something.
Well, and you also have to come up with that. If you didn't already have it, you have to develop that mindset that, if there's a hill that I have to climb over, that there's no hill that's going to stop you. And once you get used to climbing all these hills and coming down the other side, pretty soon these obstacles are going to start coming up, and you're feeling like you're bounding over these hills. And so don't get discouraged in the very beginning, because yeah, it's going to be hard. Yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable. Yeah, there might be times where you absolutely hate the new development of what you're trying to do, but you got to embrace that. We said in the military, embrace the suck. Well, why do you embrace the suck? Well, because it's not always fun. and
Right.
and it's not always fun because uncertainty and all of these other things that come as a result of this stuff, it makes you doubt yourself. And when you doubt yourself, nothing good comes of that.
Right.
Absolutely not. And doesn't matter if you're starting a new job and maybe you're in a management position instead of a ground level position, or if you're starting a business and you're a solopreneur, or maybe now you have some people working for you there, and you're accountable to yourself and your team, or just yourself, to make sure you keep going. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to pay your bills. Well, that is something that's not normal, and it's all going to be uncomfortable. But you got to believe in yourself. You started it for a reason. And again, I'm going to loop back to the why. Remember why you're doing it, and then use that as fuel, that every single time you start drifting and you start moving, dropping down, give yourself a shot of that. We'll call it testosterone or something here, and you perk back up. That's what your why does for you. It gets you going, and until you get to the point where you can develop your own battle rhythm, make your own systems, and do all of those things, that's gonna keep on happening. So just remember that.
Absolutely. Um, no, I couldn't agree more. The why anchors you, and that's where you have to look when times are tough.
Yep.
Um, but you also need to celebrate, right? I just had this conversation with someone this week about being in a new role and wanting to be the best that you can be. And there's going to be a learning curve, and it's going to be like this. So, in order to not get discouraged, how do you celebrate along the way? And I'm not talking about celebrating every little thing, but there are milestones, and this becomes part of your planning, right? Okay, if I want to hit this goal, working backwards, what are the key milestones that I need to hit along the way? Once I hit them, how do I celebrate? That's the one thing that people misunderstand about growth and about development and achievement, is that it's just the grind, 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 grind. No, man, like, you're going to get kicked in the ass. You're going to get put on your ass sometimes. So you've got to be ready to get up and dust yourself off. But at the same time, if you don't recognize the positive, that can also play games with your head, right? So you hit that first milestone, awesome. Let's, you know, me and the wife go out for a dinner date. Whatever. It doesn't have to be a big celebration, but you have to acknowledge that you're moving through that gauntlet of change and take advantage of it. Like, you can't always just be head down. And if you think about, like, I like to use Michael Jordan a lot as an example because, in my opinion, and I don't care what anyone else says, he is the best basketball player of all time.
Very
So,
controversial, Chris.
what's that?
Very controversial, Chris.
That's okay. I'm willing to be controversial sometimes. All the LeBron lovers, keep your opinions to yourself right now. Jordan is the GOAT, but he gave the impression of, I just play all the time, right? I'm practicing 4 times a day. I'm pulling people up to be as good as I am. But in the off season, he was out playing golf. He was in Vegas gambling. Like, I'm not telling you to go gamble your money away. But what I'm saying is, if the greatest of all time understands you've got to release the pressure once in a while and celebrate the victories in order to claim more victories, then I think that's a good way to go.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're talking about intentionality here. So I like the idea of celebrating. And also, you also mentioned putting your nose to the grindstone. That actually is important. Celebrating is also important. I'm actually reading a book right now, and I don't know if you've heard of it. It was actually recommended by, of course, I'm going to be revealing something about myself here, but I was watching Reels, and the Steve Harvey one popped up from his show, and he
Okay.
talked about the book Essentialism.
No.
It's actually really good. I'm like 3 chapters into it right now, but what they're talking about is how to focus only on the things that matter, and that can be in your business, it can be in your household. It's a whole life strategy. And when you only focus on the things that matter, that means that when a bunch of things that don't fit inside of that, even if you're working for somebody else, he says this even works if you're in like a management position and you're working for somebody else. People actually respect you more when you say no to things.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
and so turning down and in business, this can mean turning down opportunities. And when you're working for somebody else, it can mean saying no. It can also mean, that you're cutting some of the fluff out of your day, because being busy doesn't always necessarily mean being productive. So, it kind of goes into detail, and I can't wait for the rest of the book to be done, because they're going over so many things that, I mean, as people, we know, but how do we do these things? And they're talking about how to do these things. And so, when it comes to being intentional about these changes that you're doing, that's part of it. That's part of it. And you got to keep that in mind, because let's use business as an example. I'm probably going to get a chuckle out of Chris because he'll remember this. But when you're in business constantly as a business owner, as soon as on all your social media profiles and in public when you're going places, as soon as people see that you're a business owner, they're going to be like, oh, he's an easy target. He needs all the help in the world because what he's doing is very hard. So you're going to have this offer to you, that offer to you. And before you know it, that nest egg that you have set aside for your business, it'll slowly start going down if you say yes.
Yep.
Because help, oh my gosh, of course. I mean, what made you successful as an employee is that you are relying on others to get stuff done. But for a little while, you're going to have to rely on yourself. Otherwise, you're going to be broke, because not everyone understands your business that you're trying to do. So that what works for one person doesn't work for everybody. You actually have to have something built yourself before you can start receiving some outside help, unless somebody's willing to mentor you. And that can be free. Find those people. Find the people that aren't out there trying to steal not steal your money, because I'm a business owner too. I got to be careful on how I word that. But you got to be careful spending money when you don't have any revenue coming in. And that's really tough. I mean, that's
It,
really, really tough. But let's not go into a business conversation here because this is about your reinvention. Uh, just be intentional about it.
Yeah.
Don't let all kinds of things, block your way. Be intentional. And when you're talking about those steps that you're taking, you talk about the backwards planning and all those actionable steps that you can take. Your plan initially, we had an entire call about it almost about a month ago, I think, where we talked a lot about how when you backwards plan, you take when you get started, because starting is the hardest part, you take that most actionable step first. Well, guess what? When you're stuck, that plan can change moving forward. Even though you may have taken 3 or 4 actionable steps, that doesn't mean you're not going to get stuck again. So you might have to reevaluate all along the way and figure out what those actionable steps are, because plans change. I I think that's safe to say. I have never planned something, even with a large group of people, even in the military when we sand tabled it, had a plan that went according to plan. So just know things change.
No, and that's a really good point because that's so accurate. Even the best laid plans don't always work out the way that you expect them to because there are unknowns and they're called that for a reason,
Yeah.
right? We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, but part of, I just want to circle back to this idea of filters and like being able to say no and keeping you on track. That also becomes part of your like activity and taking those action steps, right? When when you get stuck along the way, when you hit a roadblock, that's when the intentionality really becomes important because you anchor back on your why. Okay, this is my North Star. Here's my why. I'm stuck right here. And I could fall back into easy mode. I
Hmm.
could default to what I know and is comfortable, or that's already been filtered out. And I know that I need to take this step in order to keep moving. The step is the key, right? It's the thing that keeps you moving. But having those filters, being able to say no to the things that you know are not going to help you move that goal forward, that are going to block your intentionality. Like that is so important to be able to realize. And people get sucked into that a lot, right?
Hmm.
You get the, hey, part of my reinvention here is, I'm going through like a physical transformation for some people. And it's like, look, I want to drop 30 pounds. I want to do this, that. And it's super easy when there's a UFC fight on and your friends are like, hey, we're all going to go watch the UFC fight. Come on with us. You can go, but while they're slamming their beers, you're like, no, no, no. I got goals, and that's a filter, and that's already said no.
Oh man,
But
beers,
it's really
nachos.
hard.
Oh my gosh. You're right. You're right. But there's also people that can distract you from meeting your goals as well. So let's use your example. Say you go to that party and you're trying to lose all this weight, but the Doritos and the nachos and the hot dogs and the beer and the soda and everything else is there,
Yeah,
and you go out into the kitchen and you bring yourself out a glass of water, and your friends look at you like, "What are you doing, man?"
that's right.
Well, you tell them, "Well, no, I'm focused on my goals, but let's watch the game." But then they're going to be hammering on you. No, no, no. You just have a hot dog. It's not going to hurt you. Just have a couple Doritos. It's not going to. Hey, dip your hand in those nachos. It's not going to. Well, it works in other ways too. Let's that will destroy one. When you have a cheat day, just remember when you're working out, and I'll go back into the other stuff here in a second. But when you have a cheat day during your workout cycle,
Mhm.
it adds probably another week or two onto your weight loss, just because especially as you get to be mine and Chris's age, because it's easy to put on, but it's really, really hard to take it off. But
Yeah.
it works this way outside of that party example too. Say you're wanting to go and get a new job or start a new business. Your closest people in your life will tell you that you're crazy.
Yep.
And it's hard when the people you care about the most are telling you that what you feel is most important in your life is the worst thing you can be doing right now. When you know and you have a clear vision, you've seen yourself in the seat of that truck if you want to go be a truck driver, or you see yourself talking to your clients as a new business owner and doing these speaking engagements and all these other things. You can see yourself doing this new thing, and they're telling you that you can't do it, or they're telling you it's impossible, or they're telling you that that's the wrong move for you. Go back to your why,
Yeah.
smile at them, say, "Oh, yeah, you might be right," and then walk away and dig deep and get yourself back in the game, because all of these things are going to be key distractors. But if it's really, really important to you,
Yeah.
you'll
And
do it if it's important enough.
this is going to sound cold blooded, and I don't mean it to be,
Yeah, you do.
but yeah, I kind of do. Um, Sometimes there are people in your life at different phases in your life, and not everyone in your life follows you the entire way.
Oh, that's true.
And you think about the friends from high school who and you the guy that peaked in high school, right? He was on the football team, he was popular, and now he's still reliving his glory days, right? He's like the Al Bundy of real life, right? I remember the touchdown from Polk High School. But you can't these are the people that are like the crabs in the boiling water that don't want to see you get out of that pot. So they're trying to pull you down. Sometimes you got to let the crabs go.
Yep.
And you know what? Hey, I'll see you at the next high school reunion. And, but I don't need you sharing your negativity or, reliving 20 years ago with me when I've already moved past that. Like, you could stay stuck there, and that's fine for you. It's not fine for me.
Right.
So, I need to move on from this.
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
not always easy, but it's often required.
Well, and these people, if you think of them as, oh, well, if that person thinks that this is the thing, then maybe they're right. And if you let that influence your decision, got to be stronger than that. I mean, if stuff is really, really important to you, listening to that, when you walk away and you change your mind that easily, you have to ask yourself one of two questions. A, is that person really right, or are they another distraction?
Mhm.
Or B, if I'm that easily influenced, is this new thing really that important to me, or am I just listening to the white noise in my head?
Right.
Because not every new thing is right for you at this stage of your life either. So, we've been talking about all these positive things moving forward with these new things, but my final message for this final part of the series will be, if it's that important to you, no distraction will keep you from doing what you got to do. But if you are easily distracted, then maybe it's not that important to you at all.
I don't think I can top that, JJ. Like, seriously. And I'm not even gonna try. That was
Okay.
an awesome wrap up on this.
That was an awesome wrap. Well, thank you. But seriously, don't let things distract you from achieving what you want. And if what you want is what you're already doing, that's okay. If
Mhm.
what you want is something else, great. But I challenge you, if it's that season for you, to listen to this episode and the 3 previous episodes on my YouTube or Spotify channel before this, of the Leadership Live ones, because if you go and you watch my other episodes of Speak Up, Show Up, Lead, you're gonna get drowned out. Oh, that doesn't have anything to do with what he was saying. That no. So the Leadership Live ones, and they all have the same color, just a different title. and has me and Chris on the front of it. Watch those. Use that as your filter if you're really really confused, and move forward if it's your time. If it's not, that's okay.
Yep.
You sure you don't have any final thoughts, Chris? That's not normal.
I know you, dude. I don't want to come in and try to top what you said because you summarized it really well.
Okay.
But I guess what I will say is that we've talked about what our next series is going to be, and it's going to be about execution.
Yep.
Right. So we have started with the reinvention, right? Are you the leader that you want to be in 2026? And we've just now had 4 episodes talking about reinvention, getting into the right mindset. And now we're going to transition into execution mode. Now is the time for the rubber to meet the road. And we're going to be talking about that starting in 2 weeks.
Yep. And by the end of Q2, you should be rocking and rolling. If you're following along with this show, you should be rocking and rolling.
That's right.
So, all right. Well, thank you, everyone. And I didn't do it at the beginning of the show, but I'll do it now. Don't forget to go to Amazon.com and pick up my book, Speak Up, Show Up, Lead. It's my story of leadership lessons learned through my life, starting with poverty, moving into the military, transitioning out of the military, which was probably harder than poverty, by the way, and then moving forward into working a few jobs in business ownership, leadership lessons, Speak Up, Show Up, Lead. If that interests you, go to Amazon.com and pick it up.
Get the book.
Get the book. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And we'll see you next time.
Have an awesome day. Go kill it.